All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. If you're new here, I'll introduce myself. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, out here in Budapest, Hungary, filming this video now on November 16th, 2023. The time now is about 7:20 p.m. Thanks for watching this live. Thanks for watching this on the playback. I have the chat open on my phone right now, so I will be replying to all comments, all questions, anything anybody wants to say to me. Your boy right here. I'm out here every single day on live for at least an hour, chopping it up with the people and reading stories that I find interesting. If you ever have a request, send it my way because I will be covering different stories from all different places. Before I get into this story today, we're going to jump right into it. I want to talk a little bit about self doubt. Self doubt is the defeater of men. Self doubt is when you look at yourself or see yourself in the mirror and you feel like you're not as good as you think you are, or you're just lazy, or you're just stupid, or you're just not as good as who you think you can be or who you think you should be. And I suffer from that too, just like I'm sure most people do. And I know I run a failing, if not plateauing, YouTube channel. I know I'm not successful. I know I'm not rich. I'm probably not even good at this, but I really like what I do. I love what I do, actually. Every time I get on live, I have some of the most fun I ever have. This is one of the highlights of my day, talking to the people that come into the chat, reading stories that I find interesting, learning and growing. And yet, and still, I have moments where I feel like I'm a loser, I'm unsuccessful, I'm always going to be at this level. But I try not to think that way, and I don't want you to think that way either. Always try to get up every day, strive for success, strive to be the best you can, and that's all I can do. And that's all you can do too. We only have one life to live. Most of us will only be here on this planet 70 years, 75 years max. We never know what the next day will bring to us. Tomorrow could be our last, and that could be it. So don't live with self doubt. Don't live with pity. Don't live complaining or blaming the other man or anybody else for your problems. Wake up every day, do what you need to do to be successful and grind. And that's all I really got to say. I just had to get that out there because I was thinking about, all this energy, all this effort I'm putting into my channel. I'm grinding it out. I'm trying to be as best as I can for the people. And why am I not like the other people that I watch? Why am I not at that level? You know what I mean? I'm listening to that Boosie song. What about me? You get what I'm saying? I feel like what I do is dope. I feel like I'm dope. I feel like I'm sick with it. But maybe the world ain't caught up to me yet. Maybe the world hasn't realized my greatness, or maybe I'm not great at all, or maybe I'm not good at all. And I just got to live with that. And that's fine. But we don't wallow in self pity. We just continue to do what we love to do. And that's it. So I just had to get that out the way. Anyway, today we got a big reveal. We're going to find out what the first Europeans looked like. Now, the only reason I'm reading this article is because of my own intellectual curiosity. I came across these old articles where scientists recreate the faces of the people that they have discovered as fossils on the European continent, the first human beings, or at least the oldest fossils that they have found of human beings on the European continent. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of black people like to take pride in the fact that we were the first people on the planet. We have the oldest lineage on the planet. Our DNA is the oldest if you break it down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of black people buy into that because, number one, it is the truth. We are the oldest people on the planet, the original people on the planet, and that sort of thing. But I think essentially it does not matter. Essentially, it does not matter towards the main goal of fighting white supremacy, fighting for our dignity, ending anti-black discrimination. It doesn't matter if we were the oldest people on the planet or the newest people on the planet. If there was a million black people running all around the globe, or if literally black people just popped up yesterday, we don't deserve to be shot in the back. We don't deserve to be treated poorly in the school system. We don't deserve to be thrown in jails the way we do. We don't deserve to have romantic interests turn us down just because of the color of our skin. We don't deserve any of that, any of the indignities that come with being a melanated person in this world. Does not matter about our ancestral lineage, in my opinion. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, hey, what you gonna do about it? I do think it's important, though, that we do recognize black people as existing on this planet for a long time. And some people might think I'm talking out both sides of my neck, but hear me out here. I think it's important that we do recognize that black people were the first discoverers and conquerors of this planet as the human species, because for so long in the dominant society, they have pushed out the narrative that we have no history, that we were always backwards, that we were always a uncivilized people, when we were the first people to do literally everything on the planet. So you cannot say that black people have no history, or that we're not great, or that we don't have the capability for greatness in us, when black people were the first people to develop religion, develop agriculture, sail around the planet, go to every single continent, domesticate animals. The list goes on and on and on. If we look at human achievement over centuries, over the centuries that humans have existed, black people have done the most great things just by simply the fact that we have been here the longest. When we think about the basis of civilization, it doesn't matter about the internet, doesn't matter about lights, it doesn't matter about cars or modern medicine or sending man to the moon. What matters most? Civilization, agriculture, being able to live in societies. These are things that black people did hundreds of thousands of years ago. And so we should acknowledge that. That should be acknowledged, and that should be taught in schools all around the planet. And I do think sharing that information can help, help, not fully, but help alleviate and minimize and possibly, maybe possibly eradicate anti-black racism. Because if the Chinese understood that the first Chinese people were black, if the Peruvians understand that the first people that ever came to South America were black, if the Europeans understood that the very first people that conquered the European continent were black, maybe they wouldn't have so much disdain and hate for us. I do think it's important to share that information and put that out there. So I think that's important, but it is not central to fighting for our dignity. And also I want to say, it's not central to say that we are the owners of any particular geography. I am against all forms of people saying they claim some parts of geography just because of their ancestral lineage. We are all human beings on this planet, and every person deserves to be in the place that they feel like they can thrive and strive and succeed the best. I don't believe in nationalism. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's in my bio. Unironic globalist, whatever. I don't care. Anyway, the big reveal is coming. The big reveal is coming. What did the first Europeans look like? Y'all don't even want to hear me read. Y'all don't even want to hear me read. Oh, snap. Oh, shit. Scientists have recreated the face of the oldest humans to ever set foot on the European continent. Let's here. So, the first European created from fragments of fossil, the face of our forebears 35,000 years ago. This was written by David Derbyshire for Mail Online, published on May 5th, 2009. Now, this is an older article, but we will be reading an article from this year later in the live stream, so just stay tuned. But let's get into the groundwork right here. So, dressed in a suit, this person would not look out of place in a busy street in a modern city. The clay sculpture, however, portrays the face of the earliest known modern European, a man or woman who hunted deer and gathered fruit and herbs in ancient forests more than 35,000 years ago. I'm very curious why they're not able to discern their biological sex. How could you not know if it's a man or woman? Can't you extract that from the DNA? Can't you tell by the bone structure? I'm really curious as to why they don't know it's a man or a woman. I'm not sure. But it's funny that they started the paragraph by saying a person that would not look out of place in a busy street in a modern city. I wonder which modern city, because there's a lot of places my black ass can't go in modern cities and not stick out like a sore thumb. But anyway, I'm going to continue. It was created by Richard Neve, one of Britain's leading forensic scientists, using fossilized fragments of skull and jawbone found in a cave 7 years ago. Excellent, excellent work. Shout out to Richard Neve for doing scholarly work. We appreciate all scholars of all kinds. Very interesting looking man. Yeah, he looks like a modern human. So we can't say that this is not human. He looks like my cousins, my uncles, many people that I saw in Kenya or Tanzania or in Mississippi, right? Hell, not that different than me when it comes to the lips. He's got a bigger nose than I do, similar ears, brown eyes, and a nice, clean shaven, bald head. See, bald head got the ladies even back then. I'm sure this man was drowning in puss. So, the first modern European forensic artist, Richard Neve, reconstructed the face based on skull fragments from 35,000 years ago. Excellent, excellent work. His recreation offers a tantalizing glimpse into life before the dawn of civilization. It also shows the close links between the first European settlers and their immediate African ancestors. To sculpt the head, Mr. Neve called on his years of experience recreating the appearance of murder victims as well as using careful measurements of bone. It was made for the BBC Two series, The Incredible Human Journey. This will follow the evolution of humans from the cradle of Africa to the waves of migrations that saw Homo sapiens colonize the globe. Excellent work. The head has taken pride of place on the desk of Alice Roberts, an anthropologist at Bristol University who presents the program. Kind of strange. You know, if I was an anthropologist, even if I recreated a skull, I wouldn't want the head of a person that lived 75,000 years ago or 35,000 years ago just sitting on my desk staring at me. That's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I feel like I would go to the office one day like high as hell, and I would think that the skull was talking to me, and I'd be on my cell phone, and he'd say, "Hey, bro, what's that?" I'm like, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? That's kind of creepy. Anthropologists are weird. Anybody with a PhD is weird. If you meet somebody with a PhD, they're weird. They have weird sexual predilections, or they're just into I don't know, My Little Pony or something. I don't know. Anyway. It's really quite bizarre, she told Radio Times. I'm a scientist and objective, but I look at the face and think, gosh, I'm looking at the face of somebody from 40,000 years ago, and there's something weirdly moving about that. Richard creates skulls of most. Richard creates skulls of much more recent humans, and he's used to looking at differences between populations. He said the skull doesn't look European or Asian or African. It looks like a mixture of all of them. Nah, that's a black man. If it was a mixture of all of them, see, this is the thing. Even when the scientists can't lie, they know they have to tell the truth. They know they have to tell the truth. And so they still try to obfuscate because white supremacy plays in their mind. They still can't give us all the credit. They still can't say black people were the first Europeans. They still have to say, oh, he was kind of a mix of all of them. If he was a mix of all, if that doesn't even make sense. It looks like a mix of all people, but all people didn't exist then. The people who developed the phenotypes that we consider Asian or European didn't evolve then. So how could he look like a mix of all of them? He looks like a black man. Just give it up. Just give it up. Just give it up. You still did good work, Richard, by recreating the skull and giving him the right pigmentation. But don't try to obfuscate it now with your, latent white supremacy. Let's go into Ozzy. Ozzy jumped into the comments. Salute, Simon. Let's build. Absolutely. We building real heavy today, talking about the first Europeans that popped up on the soil of Europe. I wonder if they were looking for white women then. I wonder if the first black Europeans were popping up in Europe talking about, man, I'm trying to get to Sweden, trying to get some snow bunnies. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. That behavior is not condoned on this channel. Anyway, I'm going to continue. That's probably what you'd expect of someone among the earliest populations to come to Europe. So, anthropologist Alice Roberts with the model. I look at that face and think, I'm actually looking at the face of somebody from 40,000 years ago, she says. Yeah, that's kind of freaky, man. That's real freaky. She keeps this head on her desk and she looks at it. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. It'd be even worse if she hated rap music. Wouldn't that be ironic? All right. The head is based on remains of one of the earliest known anatomically modern Europeans. The lower jawbone was discovered by potholers in the Carpathian Mountains in Romania in 2002. The rest of the fragments were found the following year. The bones were carbon dated to be between 34,000 and 36,000 years ago when Europe was occupied by two species of humans. They were the Neanderthals, who had arrived from Africa tens of thousands of years earlier, and the more recent modern humans, also known as Cro-Magnons. I would also love to know if the Neanderthals or the Cro-Magnons had melanated skin as well. You would think so, since they evolved in Africa as well and migrated to Europe and settled there. There are some people that say, and I haven't looked deeper into this, though this would be a deeper topic for another live stream. I've heard people say that Europeans have more Neanderthal DNA ancestry than Africans. In fact, Black Africans have zero Neanderthal DNA. Meanwhile, Europeans have at least 2% Neanderthal DNA. Not that any of this matters, because, in my opinion, we're all human, and at that point, 2% DNA is like minimal. It's like somebody saying I'm 2% Irish. Okay, you can't, you know, just join the St. Patrick's Day parade. You get what I'm saying? So I think. I would love to know that, and I should read more into that. And if you have any information about if the Neanderthals or the Cro-Magnons, the other species of humans that existed, if they were melanated, let us know. Anyway, we're going to continue reading. Although the skull is similar to a modern human head, it has a larger cranium, is more robust, and has larger molars. Although it is impossible to work out the skin color of the prehistoric hunter, it is likely to have been darker than modern white Europeans. Fossil experts are also unsure if the skull was male or female. That's very strange. You know, when they find these bones and stuff, they're able to, reconstruct their DNA to some extent, because DNA is preserved for a long time in bones and that sort of thing. So I find it very interesting that they say that they can't determine exactly its skin color, but they're pretty certain that they want to color it brown or black, or however you want to call it, right? It only makes sense that the first people on the planet were black people, because we all migrated from Africa, and most of human history has been conducted in Africa. Going to continue. Uh, Fossil experts are also unsure if the skull was male or female. Yeah, I still have questions about that. Hopefully, that's answered in the other articles. Many scientists believe that modern humans evolved in Africa 200,000 to 100,000 years ago. Our ancestors left Africa around 60,000 years ago and migrated around the world, replacing other branches of the family tree which had left the continent earlier. The earliest modern Europeans were far from primitive, living in huts and caves. They used stone tools and spears made from antlers, painted on the walls of their caves, and made jewelry from shells. You know, when I went to Tanzania last year, one of the things I wanted to do was visit the site where they say they have the oldest human footprint. I couldn't actually go there because, goddamn, Tanzania is so expensive, hella expensive. But I did go to an interesting museum in Tanzania where they recreated the cave wall paintings, and they showed like a print of like the first human footprint and stuff like that. And they showed that, Tanzania was like the birthplace of modern humans, because that's where the oldest human fossils were found. It was very interesting and very enlightening to be there. But once again, I have to say this: I don't care if the first humans were black or if the last humans were black. What matters is that we need to end white supremacy, and that is not contingent upon us being the oldest people on the planet. But this information should be known out there, so people will stop disrespecting black people by saying that we have no history, or that we've always been uncivilized, that we've only lived in Africa. Meanwhile, everybody else in the world had it popping. No, black people had the world popping first. We were the first to do everything. Most of human history happened in Africa. If we think about it, humans didn't leave Africa until 60,000 years ago. 200,000 years of human history. That means about 140,000 years of human history is in Africa with only black people. And only until today do we have various shades and types of people now. Very interesting information. Let's continue here. So, yeah, that's the end of this article. Oh no. All right, I need to stop that. Let me close that right there. Yeah, this will probably be the thumbnail because I like this picture. This picture right here. The first Europeans, melanated people. Let's go here to this other article here. So this is another article from livescience.com that delves deeper into the early Europeans and what they looked like. The first Europeans had a striking combination of features. This was published on February 8th, 2018. I'm saving the most recent article for last, so just stay tuned. We're only reading 3 today. This was written by Stephanie Papas. And here is Cheddar Man. Has anybody heard of Cheddar Man before? Cheddar Man is the first Briton. I think the British anthropologists discovered this skeleton somewhere on the island of Britain, Great Britain, and they were able to reconstruct what he looked like based on the DNA that was preserved in the bones. And hey, what do you know it? Cheddar Man looks like he gets the Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man sounds like a rapper. Cheddar Man was probably a rapper back in the day, because that's a rap name. That's like an early 2007 rap name. Cheddar Man. That's hilarious. I think they called him Cheddar Man because he was found in like the city of Cheddar or something like that. But dark skinned brother with some 2C hair. Looks like an Aborigines from Australia, but still a melanated brother. Hey, we're gonna claim them. We're gonna claim them. We're gonna claim them. If you want to trade, if the whites want to trade Cheddar Man, they got to give us their best. They got to give us, like, I don't know, Martin Sheen or something. I'm going to continue. The full facial reconstruction of Cheddar Man on display at the National History Museum in London on February 6th. Scientists have put a smiling face to one of the first human residents of Great Britain. At 10,000 years old, Cheddar Man is one of the oldest known Homo sapiens found in England, as well as being one of the most complete skeletons. Ancient DNA reveals that he had a striking combination of dark skin and pale eyes. In a new facial reconstruction, modelers at Kennis and Kennis Reconstructions worked with Britain's Natural History Museum to sculpt the Mesolithic man's face shape down to a closed mouth, smile, and long dark hair. He is just one person, but also indicative of the population of Europe at the time. Tom Booth, a postdoctoral researcher in paleobiology at the museum, said in a statement, they had dark skin and most of them had pale colored eyes, either blue or green, and dark brown hair. Very, very interesting information. See, this is the thing. When the white supremacists hear information like this, when white people, general white people, hear information like this, they can't believe it. They'll do everything to try to discredit Tom Booth. Tom Booth, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a crazy loony woke researcher. How dare you say that the first people in Great Britain were black? How dare you? You are a woke scientist. You're a part of the woke mob. That's what they would say to Tom Booth, even though he's a researcher, even though he spends years of his life in universities studying human biology and evolutionary biology. But we have to accept the facts. White folks, everybody on the planet has to accept the facts that we were the first people on the planet. And actually, that doesn't matter. But at least put respect on our name. Stop disrespecting us. Stop calling us all sorts of things. Stop saying that we're uncivilized, that we just live in trees and huts and stuff like that. We were the first people to sail across the world, conquer every single human biome that ever existed. So put some respect on our names. Put some respect on our ancestors. Put some respect on your ancestors, because this is the thing, white folks. These are your ancestors too. Cheddar Man is your great great granddaddy. Cheddar Dad is your great 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 black granddaddy. Put some respect on his name. Stop disrespecting us. I'm going to continue. All right. Where is the rest of the text? So, caveman. This color combination would be unusual today, but ancient DNA evidence suggests that it was the norm among the hunter gatherers of northern continental Europe during the Mesolithic, Booth said. Pale eyes apparently evolved in early Europeans before pale skin, which emerged after the advent of agriculture, he said. I forgot which YouTube video I watched, but there's a very interesting YouTube video I watched about why Europeans have green and blue eyes and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of vitamin D from low UV rays in the northern hemisphere and something like that. So it's very interesting to see that light eyes evolved first before light skin, because I guess the skin, the skin is like the largest organ on our body. And maybe that took a longer time for the evolutionary traits for light skin or white skin, whatever you want to call it, to evolve. But the eyes, much smaller organs, probably evolved sooner to adapt to the climate changes. Very, very interesting stuff. All right. So Ozzy said, what about albinos in Africa? Interesting thing about albinos in Africa. When I went to Tanzania and Kenya, you see a lot of albinos. You see a lot of black people who look damn near white with like blonde hair and stuff like that. It's really kind of freaky. Really kind of freaky. I think albinoism kind of shows that within black people, we have all the DNA strains to create all the phenotypic traits. Once again, we are the oldest people on the planet. We're the most genetically diverse people on the planet. They say from the DNA strain of the average black African or even a black American, you can pull out the DNA that could create all the different phenotypes of the planet, because that's all within us. But within the other groups, you cannot, right? This is like a biological fact. So I've heard, and more research needs to be done into that. But I believe that's actually true, and much smarter people have proven that than me. You get what I'm saying? We do see a lot of albinos in Africa, and once again, I think that goes to show, that we're the oldest people on the planet. I forgot who are the name of the people in South Africa, but they're called the Khoisan people. They're the ones who speak with the clicks, right? They are the oldest people on the planet, literally. Like their genes literally are the oldest type of genes of the earliest modern humans. If you meet a Khoisan person, you're meeting a person whose lineage goes back to the very, very, very beginning of humanity. You get what I'm saying? So within them, there is all of us, as in human, as in the human race. I'm gonna jump to Ozzy's other comments. Yeah, I heard they're discriminated against. I've also seen white albinos. Um, when I was in Tanzania or in Kenya, um, the albinos I saw were like working in hotels right along the other black staff and stuff like that. They're walking out in the streets. Um, I'll just say this. It's I don't I've heard that the albinos have been discriminated against in media, but I did not see it. I'm not saying that it's not there, but it's possibly true. I've heard stuff that the albinos are chopped up, people eat their body parts, people sacrifice them in animistic rituals and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of stuff. I hate to repeat it as if it's true, but I'm just saying what I've heard. I didn't see it there, though I'm sure it probably is there. But the crazy thing is, the craziest thing about Africa, right, is that they will possibly discriminate against albinos, black people who look white, but then they love actual white people. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. So they'll hate white, black Africans, but when they see a white man, it's jumbo jumbo. Oh, I love Mazungus. I want to go to Europe. It's crazy. I just wanted to say that here. So I'm going to continue here. Lighter skin absorbs more ultraviolet light than darker skin. Ultraviolet light is necessary for humans to produce vitamin D. The ability to absorb more of it helps people at higher latitudes who see less sunlight than people in equatorial regions. Avoid vitamin D deficiency. See, yeah, I was kind of right about this before. Yeah, people with lighter skin evolved that trait so that they could absorb vitamin D. I think I said something like that before. And I think that also relates to the eyes as well. I'm going to continue. Cheddar Man was discovered in 1903. His bones were covered in sediment in a cave in Cheddar Gorge in Somerset, England. The cave, Gow's Cave, holds many human remains, including older skeletal remains from Cro Magnon hunter gatherers that bear the marks of cannibalism. Wow. Okay. So they were getting down in the past. See, everything happened in the past, and we accept the good and the bad. The first people to commit slavery were black people. The first people to commit cannibalism were black people. The first people to commit, ethnic genocide, like because they say the early humans eliminated and eradicated the Neanderthals. Those are black people too. We accept the good and the bad. You get what I'm saying? And you know what? Once again, none of this actually matters. We only read these stories for our own intellectual curiosity, but also to fight back against the white supremacists who come in and tell us, oh, you're a people who never had history, you never built anything, you never did anything as a people, or black people are intellectually inferior and incapable of doing things that other humans have done. When that's an absolute lie. When most of human history and most of the achievements of humanity have been done by people that look like me. And if you're black, they look like you. I'm going to continue here. An ancient life. Cheddar Man was in his 20s when he died, according to the Natural History Museum, though his cause of death is unknown. There is a hole in his skull that could be the result of an infection during life or simply damage from the early 20th century excavations. He had a slim, almost feminine pelvis, and he was found alone, which is unusual for that time, Booth said. Mesolithic people usually buried their dead in communal burial sites where dozens of individuals were placed over the course of years. He could have been special, or he may just have curled up and died where he was found, Booth said. Mineral deposits in cool conditions kept Cheddarman's DNA intact enough for researchers to sequence many of its fragments. Markers for physical traits found in the man's genome were used in the reconstruction, as were standard measurements of tissue thickness and bone and muscle attachments. Very, very interesting. So they could literally extract his DNA because he was literally like frozen in ice, like he was an ice age or something. And they pulled it up and they say, yep, that's a nigga. They did the DNA test and said, yep, yep, he can play basketball. They pulled out that DNA test and they say, yep, that boy can dance. That's what they did, man. So, Cheddar Man's nearly complete skeleton is on display at the Natural History Museum. On February 18th, BBC4 will air a documentary, The First Brits Secrets of the 10,000-Year-Old Man, featuring the reconstruction and the science behind it. So that's the end of the article. Shout out to Cheddar Man. You died alone, bro, but you're not forgotten. Maybe in his past life, he might have been somebody sick. Like he might have been like a murderer or like or an artist. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? He might have been a bad dude. But hey, that every life has a purpose. This is what I think about the meaning of life, right? We don't know what our lives will mean to ourselves or to other people. I might die and nobody might ever remember I was here. None of my work will be cherished. Everything that I've had or built up will be like a sand castle on the beach. It will just wash away over time and I'll just be a forgotten memory. But then years later, people might dig up my skull and, find out, hey, that guy was actually pretty smart, or he was actually pretty charismatic, or I might prove once and for all that ancient humans, because who knows, we might be ancient humans to like our far off celestial ancestors. They might prove, hey, once and for all, hey, ancient humans were pretty smart, handsome, intelligent, and cool and funny. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But once again, we don't know what our lives mean, but Cheddar Man's life meant something, and your life means something too. So just remember that. The last article we will read today is from The Guardian. Here is another ancient European uh looking a very weird facial construction. I don't know about that face. I would not trust this guy. This guy looks like he will rob you in a dice game. This guy looks like the guy at a casino and you don't want to play blackjack at his table because he keeps a card up the sleeve. This guy looks like he creates memes of like monkeys for Reddit and lives in his mom's basement. This guy looks crazy. Yeah, he looks like a tanned Asian. He looks like a tanned Asian who spent too much time at the solarium. He looks like he looks like he looks like the most he looks like the most unfriendly Cambodian. He looks like man, this guy looks like he will bite you in a fight. This guy looks like he braids hair for zebras. This guy looks crazy. This guy looks crazy. We're not claiming him. We'll claim Cheddar Man, and we'll claim the Romanian black guy, but we're not claiming him. We're not claiming this guy. I'm joking. I'm joking here. I'm joking. All right, so this article is more than 6 months old, but it's from The Observer. Revealed modern humans needed 3 tries in 12,000 years to colonize Europe. Homo sapiens forced out Neanderthals between 54,000 and 42,000 years ago, according to controversial new research. Why is this controversial? It's just human history. Craig Matt jumped into the chat. Chili Simon, what's good? Are you getting your running on? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to run around this city, man. I'm running around Budapest all the time. I ain't even got time to work out, man. I ain't even got time to work out, but I'm still staying fit, still saying, you know what I mean? Still saying how I want to stay. You know what I mean? I look in the mirror, I see a handsome, melanated man. You get what I'm saying? But I've been too busy with English classes. I'm doing this right before my English class. I've been doing a lot of writing for culturalist theory. So I know I need to get back on the running. I need to get back healthy. But I will. I will soon. Thank you, Craig Mack, for always showing that support. I wonder if that's what you guys want to see. Do you guys not care about me reading articles? Do y'all not care about me dropping all these bombs of knowledge? Do y'all just want to see me hit like 12 laps around the track? Is that really what people come here for? I thought I had more dope shit to say. I guess, I guess I should go back to doing like ab wheel workouts and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care about this channel blowing up. This is a failing YouTube channel. I don't care. I do this for shits and giggles. Anyway, let's jump into the comment. Robin McKee, Sunday, May 7th, 2023. So it took 3 separate waves of modern humans to colonize Europe between 54,000 and 42,000 years ago. That is the key conclusion of scientists who have been studying caves in the Rhone Valley, where they have discovered evidence that Homo sapiens had to make a trio of determined attempts to head westward and northwards for Western Asia before they could establish themselves in the continent. That's crazy, man. Early Europeans, early black Europeans were on the hunt for white women that bad. They made 3 tries. You think it's hard now getting into Europe. Imagine back then. You had to fight like a woolly mammoth and a saber-toothed tiger just to get some Swedish horse. It's crazy. It's crazy. They were wild back then. Anyway, so the first 2 of these waves failed, but the third succeeded around 42,000 years ago, said Ludovic Slimak of the University of Toulouse, who is leading the excavations in France. After that, modern humans took over in Europe. The Neanderthals who had evolved on the continent died out. The group's research, published in the journal PLOS One, is controversial because it implies that our species settling in Europe took around 12,000 years to complete, far from being a rapid takeover. Modern humans' transition into the continent was a lengthy affair involving travel along the Mediterranean before our ancestors headed northwards up the Rhone Valley. I think it took 12,000 years for humans to colonize Europe because they just couldn't get used to the food. I mean, you think British food is bad now. Imagine back then. They didn't even have curry back then. A lot of beans and mash. Imagine French food without like tomatoes. Tomatoes weren't even in Europe then. Everything was so trash back then. That's probably why they couldn't, make it. It's probably why they couldn't, succeed in Europe because they popped up in Serbia, they popped up in Montenegro, they popped up in Italy, and everything just tasted like dog shit. It was like, just a polenta again. You know what I mean? They couldn't make it. They couldn't make it. All right. Craig Mack says, "What? Keep grinding, Simon." Yes. Shout out to Craig Mack again for showing love. Keep boosting the algorithm, guys. We're gonna keep on trying. So let's keep on pushing. Where were we? So the paper is also contentious because it questions the origins of one of the key prehistoric stone tool industries that have been uncovered in central France. These are known as the Châtel-Perronian tools, a lithic industry that was named after a village where the implements were first found in the 19th century. I've never heard of this before. Was there like a whole village that was making like tools back then? Are they doing like the like ancient factories? People were like knocking out spearheads and selling them for $5 a pop. Is that what was going on? What was the currency back then? What was the currency back then? Like twigs to brush your teeth? I don't know, man. Leaves that wouldn't give you a rash if you wiped your ass. Like what were they trading back then as money? Early humans, if there was a whole industry of Neolithic tools or lithic industry, I don't know. Crucially insane. This is what this is. Crucially, these tools, which are distinctive for their elegant, slender blades and sophisticated construction, have since been attributed by many, but not all scientists, to Neanderthal tool makers. These researchers argue that the tools show that Neanderthals were capable of advanced tool manufacture and complex behavior. But Slimak rejects this view. The Châtel-Perronian tools are the handiwork of modern humans, and given their similarity to stone tools that were being made in the Middle East, we conclude they were brought there by Homo sapiens as they moved into Europe. Very interesting. So Ozzy says, "Are you two related, Craig?" Craig, man, they're the same person, man. They're the same person. Don't worry about that. But yeah, let's go here. The Gratz Mandarin and France's Rhone Valley photograph. So interesting. They're out there digging, man. Being an anthropologist or a paleontologist or whatever is like the sexiest unsexy job. You get what I'm saying? Because we imagine Indiana Jones, but they're probably like 4chan neckbeards. You get what I'm saying? Like we imagine like guys out there, with the tan brimmed hat out in the middle of the desert with nothing but a gun and a brush in their hand, ready to dig up, the next ancient pharaoh's grave or something like that. But really, it's probably like some big fat guy with a double chin, stubble beard, who has like a predilection for like anime hentai, and he's like just sitting on the computer all day, just doing graphs and research on one screen, and then on the other screen, there's like futa porn and stuff like that going on. That's what I imagine most paleontologists are like. Sexiest unsexy job. If it's not, prove me wrong. I can't think of a sexy or unsexy job. Maybe like president of like Mongolia or something. I don't know. Continuing with the text, it is a claim that is bound to cause controversy, said Professor Chris Stringer of London's Natural History Museum. This is a provocative and ambitious paper, he told The Observer. In particular, it argues that the Châtel-Perronian stone industry, which is usually assumed to be the product of Neanderthals, was actually the work of Homo sapiens. Supposed associations of Neanderthal fossils with Châtel-Perronian tools must therefore be invalid, he is saying. I don't understand any of that, and I'm not going to pretend not like any of this matters. We're only reading this for our intellectual curiosity. But I didn't know that all these anthropologists and paleontologists had so much beef. They're beefing over their finds. Because when you find something as an anthropologist, that's probably the thing that blows you up. I wonder what's harder, being a rapper, like being a struggling rapper trying to get your mixtape in like Diddy's hands, or trying to go viral for your new song, or being a paleontologist. You literally have to dig in the earth and try to find something dope for people to recognize you. What's harder, being a rapper or being a paleontologist? I would say I would say being a paleontologist, man, because you got to go to like crazy places. Like you got to go to like the jungles of the Congo or like the sands of the Saharan desert in Algeria with just like a pickaxe and a flashlight and just try to find like a Tyrannosaurus tooth or something like that. And then you'll blow up. Man, I'd rather try to get on. I'd rather try to get on in the industry, put me in a 360 deal. Anyway, so Ozzy said, "How do paleontologists make money?" I don't know, man. I think they make money by getting grants from research. Like they apply from their university. Their university gets a grant from rich people who want to dig up bones somewhere, and then profit from that, something like that. That's what I think. Or they just try to find, I don't know, man. They're trying to find like the Wu Tang Clan. Uh, CD that's encased in diamonds and gold. Maybe they're looking for that, like in a ancient like Egyptian sarcophagus or like a tomb or something. That's what I think. I think that's how that's how they make money. They dig up ancient stuff. They dig up ancient stuff like Will Smith's dignity. They dig up ancient stuff like I don't know, like Tupac's first bandana. They're just out there digging for stuff. That's how I think paleontologists make money. I don't know. Slimek has also argued in previous papers that modern humans who first emerged from Africa around 60,000 years ago may have been armed with bows and arrows to judge from the tiny 54,000-year-old pointed stone tools, which look very like arrowheads. They have been found in the Grotte Mandring cave in the Rhone Valley. This technology, which allows hunters to kill at a distance without endangering themselves, would have given the incomers a vital advantage over local Neanderthals. However, after a period of around 40 years, the first group of modern human incomers disappeared from the fossil record, and the site was subsequently reoccupied by Neanderthals. If our ancestors were better equipped, why did the first intrusion into Europe end this way? Similarly, why did the second wave, which probably occurred around 44 to 46,000 years ago, also end in failure? Maybe disease, maybe cold. I don't know. Maybe the border guards were just being dicks in Bulgaria. I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't get in. They had their visas straight. That's what I think. The early humans did not go the visa route. They tried to pop up in Lampedusa and, shit didn't go right. They got sent back. They got sent back. Sorry. So, one answer is straightforward, says Slimek. Those early waves of humans simply lacked numbers. He believes there were up to 100 men, women, and children in the Grotte Mandrin settlement. They may not have been sufficient to maintain their biological strength, and perhaps they could not exchange genes with local Neanderthals because the fertility between them was poor, he added. However, he rejected the idea that relations between Neanderthals and modern humans were poor. In fact, every indication suggests that the two groups were on good terms. I wonder how they could be on good terms because I don't think the Neanderthals had a language. I think the Neanderthals were like closer to animals. I'm just assuming here. I'm just assuming. I mean, their name literally means stupid now today in our lexicon. So maybe they couldn't speak. How could the humans and Neanderthals be cool? Didn't they try to like, I don't know, like just take each other's booties like randomly? I mean, that's how they portray it in like all the movies of like early humans. Like early human life was just like an endless cycle of like wandering in cold forests, fighting strange animals, and like randomly getting your booty taken or taking booty. That's what it seemed like. And I think there's a lot to say about humanity now, based on how we evolved as people. They used to just, club them over the head, drag them back to the cave, and take booty. That's what I think it was for early humans. Probably going to get demonetized for that, but I don't care. I don't care. All right. Then came the third wave, and this time it seems that our ancestors did have the numbers, Slimek added. The third time they came in, modern humans did so with a really huge wave of people and began to build social networks, not with Neanderthals, but with individual small separate groups of Homo sapiens in order to build a huge network throughout Europe. And in the end, that is what started the decline of the Neanderthals in Europe. So, that is the end of the article. So let's go to our black brother in history, our black Romanian friend. Shout out to this brother, whoever he was back in time. He lived 40,000 years ago, lived his life, and his life had a meaning now because it's making this young black man here feel proud to be black in a small way. I don't think that we should rest our laurels or rest our dignity upon the achievements of our ancestors, because every day we, as Black men, Black women, create new history for ourselves, and we deserve respect regardless, because we are an innocent, bloodless people. In the sense that we don't come from a lineage of people who gain things by taking from others. We only earn things on our own merit. But even still, we have a lot to be proud of our ancestors who traversed this entire planet, created whole civilizations, are the ancestors of every other single group of people on the planet. Their ancestors are us, but our ancestors are ourselves. And that's very deep if you think about it. So I just wanted to wrap up the live stream here. That's all I really have to say. I want to say thank you to everybody who watched today. Ozzy, Craig Mack, Greg Mack, and anybody who will watch this in the playback. Once again, don't have self doubt. Don't ever feel like you're defeated if you feel like you're defeated in life. I wake up every day, and despite all the obstacles I have going against me, against being an immigrant, being poor, being Black, being a failure in so many different ways, I still strive and try to succeed. And you should do the same thing too. Look in the mirror, see that you can do the impossible, go out and get it, and keep on pushing forward, just like our ancestors did 40,000 years ago when they were all alone, cold, afraid, freezing to death in the rivers of Europe and in the sea, trying to make it to a better life, trying to look for white women in Finland. They found a way. They found a way. And look at where we are today. All right. Thank you for watching. My name is Simon Hill.